So, here's what I want to talk about. The way that I see things going right now is that America is going to start to really struggle in about 20 years if things don't really change. And I mean wealth. The commonwealth. I will stay the same. Shot if I can. Because the way that I see things, right, is, well, to build the framework. Recently watched this clip on YouTube where a man talks to, I guess, a journalist, and he explains how, depending on what generation you're in, you completely see America in a different view. And the way he explained it was quite understanding, honestly. If you're from an older generation and you already purchased your house 20 years, 30 years back, your mortgage was fantastically cheaper than it is today, and you've probably paid a lot of it down at this point. Your house is now worth, when you initially bought it, maybe $100,000 to $150,000, went up to about $400,000 as the average price of the home today. Now, it's all location, so it's more likely in the 200s, maybe even 300,000 mark. But they have not developed, but they have a massive amounts of wealth in equity already built into their house that they paid off for decades to come. Now, they were living in the perfect spot for the American dream. Now, did they have a lot of economic crisis? There was a lot of more emotional turmoil that also existed in America. We cannot discredit what the older generation has gone through. But they did flourish, right? And the younger generation does not have as much assets as the older. The problem is that cars today, they just depreciate the moment you put them, right? You purchase a car, everyone knows the moment you take it off the lot, it goes down $5,000. Everyone knows that it just depreciates the moment you take it off the lot. Great. So that, and then it's constant maintenance. They don't build them like they used to. So there's less, you feel as though you're purchasing a downgrade almost, because you have to consistently invest into the car in order to keep its upkeep. And then you have a house, right? That bar that looks so grand and well for the older generation because their mortgage is so high up, they have so much more equity, is setting the bar higher for the younger generation to even get in. So then there's less assets going to the younger generation. Less wealth. Now they have to rent, which means they can't save as much money, right? A portion of their income already goes to just straight down the hole and it's making someone else's rich. And I have to admit, there was like the whole wave of passive incomes, and it was literally just explaining how you could just take someone else's money and just put it into your pockets. I mean, I get it, that's how business works, but come on, can we not work together on this point where we can all be a little bit more in an economic financial stability? No, I don't know why we can't do that. I don't understand why we can't all work together. I'm not talking about socialism. I'm not talking about, what's the other one? Fascism. You know, well, there's some aspects of America that is socialistic, which I don't understand why there's so many negative talk about it. It's a great I get it, right? You want everyone to make the same money, but of course everyone's job is different. I don't mind being in a capitalistic society. I'm just saying that the government should be there and doing what they're supposed to do and regulate these companies in order to make sure that the average people can have a certain standard of living. That's all I really truly care about. Especially because what it is I'm getting a lot of information from all these different videos, and I want to combine it and explain it so neatly, but my mind just keeps traveling back and forth to all the different issues that exist. What was my original subject that I was talking about? The older generation and younger generation, the wealth is separated because the older generation has a bunch of assets that they already have. The younger generation cannot even get those assets. They can't even begin that race. And the way that I see things going is that it's going to make a further gap among the wealthy and the poor. Now, hopefully within 15 to 20 years, that will change, because perhaps there will be a great, what was the terminology that was used? It's basically when generational wealth, I suppose. Maybe there's a great transfer of wealth from the older generation to the younger generation. But if you don't know what you're doing, that will be taxed. That will hurt you significantly. You won't walk out with as much assets, but it's also the fact the buying power today is significantly less than it was 10 years ago. And I know that everyone's gonna blame, yada, 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 yada. I get it. There's no point in blaming right now. We have to look toward the future. That's what the problem is we keep looking at the present and we look at the past. What my history professor said and explained it to me, he said, you'll look at the past, you study the past, understand the future, so you can, gee, many crickets, you study history so you can understand your present, so you can change the future. This is a rant, basically, right? No, it is a rant. It's Topo Chico. I'm trying to get healthier. But no, seriously. I'm afraid for the kids of this younger generation. I'm even afraid of my own generation, but they're gonna have to, but my generation's gonna have to fucking bite it, is the thing. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say the F-bomb, you know what I mean? Maybe I'll cut that out. Man, I don't even want to cut this out. I'm just gonna post this video for what it is. But basically, I worry about the next generation because the commonwealth is just far beyond repairing, you know? This generation has a lot of potential, and there's enough blame to go around to everyone. And I probably will disclose further into that because this is my personal opinions. But I do feel that this could be a potential turning point among Americans if they choose to work together. And I fail to see that happening, but I do hope that it can one day occur. If the only resolution was a transfer of wealth, that wouldn't be that big of an issue, but it's more so the value of the dollar is decreasing significantly. So when the older generation sees the growing groceries change, it ups to 50 cents. They don't mind. Their house is doing well over $100,000, you know, the profit that they're gonna make. If they bought stocks, it's doing significantly great. If it's giving them any sort of dividends, then they're doing even better. The older generation sees no conundrum with the groceries going up 50 cents. Now to my generation and younger, I apologize because I know it's not truly your fault. You were just born in an era that just financially became irresponsible with how they handle it all. But those 50 cents that just gets added to your groceries, regardless of what items, you know, it just slowly builds up. It accumulates. It's inflation. So when that accumulation hits, now that can affect your rent. There's my old dog. That can affect your living. And that isn't fair. I understand that isn't fair. The only real resolution that I could see is that there has to be a cultural change. It has to shift away from bigger businesses who are opting out to filling their pockets and understanding what humans need. We need to promote small businesses so we can grow a different culture around that. That way, hopefully, there's different skills and artists that can come out with unique styles that can actually be emphasized versus us all following a mass conglomerate of whatever is currently trending. The culture needs to change significantly. It's what I'm assuming is going to be a huge factor into changing the future. You need to increase the value of the dollar. We need to build family relationships, social relationships, healthy social relationships. And we need to develop our infrastructure so that it provides more aid than frustration to the average American. I will end it there, and then I'll probably rant more further on the same subject or perhaps on different subjects, but I'll just end it there because I just need to begin something. But I think I actually have it dialed down a little bit more. I'm going to try to see if I can narrow it down further and further as the days goes by. So I do hope y'all have a great day. A bright sunny day with a little bit of overcast, but overall we're pretty good. Have a good one. Bye-bye.